Let's talk about the emotional map of a real estate transaction for a seller in New York City. What do I mean by that? Well, when you're selling your place in New York City, and if you followed any of our previous videos that we've put up, we've talked about getting to this moment, right? Planning on selling your home, pricing it right, and you get to the stage where you're on market, you have your first open house, okay? So there's gonna be some emotions here. Before the open house, before your first showing, there's a lot of feelings that start to come. Did you do all the planning right? Okay, you're gonna have conversations with your agent because you're nervous, okay? And we're gonna calm you down. And then all of a sudden, you get to a place where, even after your first open house, you did everything right. You start getting offers in, okay? Now your first offer might be low, and that might set your emotions spiking. Like, wait a minute, I thought I did everything right, okay? And a day or two later, all of a sudden you can get some offers that start to come up higher, okay? That brings down your emotions, and now the people who came low start to come higher. That might set another spike off because you already don't like those people for coming in low, but now they're the highest bid, right? So think about that for a minute. And, so managing your expectations, okay, throughout the process is really important. So you have these offers that come in, and you really need to look at them, mathematically with a magnifying glass, right? Because you need to see it's not always about the highest offer. That's why they say highest and best. And part of that is like, look, you might have, a cash offer, that's $10,000 lower, or, X dollars lower, right? And that might really be the way to go when you match them up with the other offers, okay? All right, so we're sailing through this thing. We choose an offer, okay, emotional enough. We finally picked our bidder, okay, gets top spot. I'm good to go. Well, not necessarily, because the next thing that's gonna happen is the agent's gonna call, all right? I mean, 97% chance the agent on the other side is gonna call and say, hey, listen, we want an inspection. Now, your sale in New York City, you're never going to do it contingent upon an inspection, but they're going to do that inspection during the due diligence process, okay? So inspector comes in, and they check everything, and you get a pretty decent report because you followed everything in our previous video to plan for putting your place up for market, right? Up for sale, okay? But there are a few things, and you never know. In fact, you always have to think that the buyer is going to come and ask you to, one, and most likely this is what it's going to be, fix, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things, okay, that the inspector caught, okay? And the inspector is getting paid, so he's always going to catch something, okay? The other thing that you need to know is that once you get through that inspection, to the attorney, and the attorney is going to expect for the agents to speak together, not the attorneys, okay? So that's why your agent will start renegotiating what you might be fixing, for these buyers to be happy. Well, now all right, so now contract is signed, right? Deposit is wired. You should be feeling great. You should be feeling like, woohoo, I'm sailing to the sunset now for real. Like a contract, is gold in New York City for the most part, right? Not really. What ends up happening is you as a seller start to get like this really funny feeling right here. You get this, we call it seller's regret, okay? And all kinds of remorse start coming up. Maybe I should have taken a different buyer, like this person asked for things on the inspection. I can't even believe that I just agreed to sell my place at this price. I could have gotten so much more. And the reason why I'm having giggles and fun doing this is because these emotions are so real, and it's important to know that you're not alone. Almost every other seller has seller's remorse, okay? And it's perfectly normal, but just remember that you did all of the work to get here. The work that we talked about in the previous video, planning to sell your home, pricing it right. We went through all the fixes before you knew already that inspection was going to be requested, and you went through all these fixes with a contractor, just to make it easier on everyone, okay? So you've done all this hard work, and it seems so easy now that you could have gotten a higher price. So you're having seller's remorse, but don't. You did great, and everything happened exactly according to plan, or really darn close. So great job there. You need to lift your head up and go to the closing table with a big, big smile on your face. But that brings me to my next, part in the flow map, which is prior to going to the closing table, in fact, right before, your buyers are gonna have a walkthrough. They're gonna walk through your home and make sure that everything is working, as to be expected, and that they didn't miss anything, in the inspection report or anywhere else. And so buyer, walks through, and maybe they didn't see something in the inspection report that they have questions about. They're getting a little emotional. Okay, their map is, is starting to elevate here. Their emotions are getting real because they realize, they're giving up even more money now going to the closing table. This is getting scary, and so they might start to notice things they didn't before. They might have questions that they didn't before. Something really legitimately may not be working. Maybe you missed something, and maybe something happened in between that time, and needs to be repaired or looked at. So we need to have an open mind, right? That this is real life, and things happen, and even in between, it's all about the in-betweens, and anything can happen before closing. You get to closing table, requests are asked, questions are asked, maybe a request to fix something. Don't lose it. Don't go back to seller's remorse. I could have gotten a higher price. I could have dealt with anyone but you. No, just deal with it. It's an investment. Buyers have their own chart, and you just need to get through this because you're right there. And you know what? Sometimes you might need to concede a little bit because it makes sense, and sometimes it doesn't. But I think you need to keep a level head. I think you need to keep a level head.
And then you get your check.
But I think you need to keep a level head and just think about, what are you going to do with all that profit? What are you going to do with all those Benjamins, baby? Just keep your eye on the prize. You're already there. All right. Well, I hope we connect on more videos and that you keep watching. So hit the subscribe button, hit the likes. Let us know what you're thinking. Reach out at any time. All right, we're sailing to the sunset again. We have, what? You said something wrong.
Seller's regret.
I know.
All right.
Next up, we're good to go, right? No, not yet. So now the contract is about to get signed. Contract gets signed, money is wired. Woo! Home free, right? Contract in New York City is like gold. Well, you still need to manage your emotions, okay? Because what happens is that you're still going through a process over here. And buyers are going through that process too that we just talked about. And, as we're getting there, we get, is this the walkthrough?
No.
So we're done with this, right? That's good. I got my top bidder. We're sailing to the sunset, right? Not necessarily, because what 97% of agents are going to do is call your agent and say, hey, we want an inspection. And that happens even though it's not contingent upon the sale in New York City. What happens is during the due diligence process, they're going to ask for an inspection, It's normal. You agree. You've already went over this with your plan with your agent, okay? So, but this brings upon a whole nother set of emotions, and you really need to prepare yourself, okay, for the fact that they're going to ask you to fix some things. Now keep in mind, the buyer has an emotional map that we didn't even touch on, and we're not going to in this video. But they have their own emotional map, okay? Their flow chart that they're working through, okay? So it's really important that you understand the perspective of the buyer and that you keep it cool. Now understand, this is an investment, okay? You've moved yourself out of this place, okay? You need to emotionally not be in your place, just like you need to eventually not be living in your place if you are still residing there.